Hi, hello, welcome to Finch University. Classes in session. Wait, technically it's not because they're about to go into summer break. You get my point. Hi, hello, my name is Jasmine. I talk about books and TV shows on the internet, and today we're going to be discussing episodes 3 and 4 of season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty in correlation with the books. Yes, I have the physical version, but will I be using my iPad? Yes. Because I look up words to make finding the things easy for myself, and I can highlight color. I know the Kindle Colorsoft exists, but I do not own it, so shout out to the iPad mini. I did do a video where I talk about episodes 1 and 2. I will pop that up in the corner. And now that I have all that intro stuff out of the way, let's talk about episode 3, The Last Supper. It starts with Jeremiah and Belly, where we kind of get like proposal part 2, because this is when Jeremiah presents Belly with the ring. Like the one I'm holding, it's that small. Oh, I joke, I kid. Not really not a problem. It's the man who gave it to her. Ooh, I am Team Conrad, if you could not tell from this. I've been recording for 1 minute and 27 seconds. I don't know how long this is without cuts, but that's how fast I made it known where I stand. In the original source material, when he proposes, he actually proposes in her bedroom as opposed to outside the hospital. I go into it in the video that I put it up here, and he does give her a ring. So the one scene here kind of gets put into 2 scenes in the TV show. But from book to TV show, her ring goes from being silver to being gold. That is a change that there is. I know, very important, very important. You probably think I'm kidding, but like, no, seriously, it's very important. If you're a gold girly or if you're a silver girly, a wedding ring or engagement ring really has to match. And if it doesn't, it's like, does he really know me? FYI, I kind of am going chronologically with the TV show, connecting it to the book in case you were a little confused on how the order was gonna go. Glad we cleared that up. Anyways, after this moment, she goes to meet up with Taylor. This is another scene that kind of gets broken into 2 scenes in the TV show, because here Belly shows her the ring, whereas in the TV show Belly shows her the ring afterwards at her home. Taylor's feelings towards it are also very different. There is the added layer in the TV show that Steven and Taylor are together, and Steven had just gone through like the car crash that left them both a little traumatized. So they go to a coffee shop and have this conversation. What's up? She scrutinized me. Did you guys get back together or did you break up for real? I held up my left hand with a flourish. She looked at it confused, then her eyes focused on my ring finger. Taylor's eyes turned huge. You're effing kidding me. You're engaged? She screamed. A couple of people turned around and looked at us. Annoyed, I shrank down in my seat a little, grabbing my hand. She said, "Oh my God, let me see that thing." I could tell she thought it was too small, but I didn't care.
Is it a diamond or like a sliver of tinfoil?
Stop! I love this
Kidding.
ring.
Oh my God, she said, staring at the ring. I know, I said. But Belly, he cheated on you. We're starting over fresh. I really love him, Tay. Yeah, but the timing is kind of suspect, she says slowly. I mean, it's really sudden. It is, and it isn't. You said it yourself. This Jerry we're talking about, he's the love of my life. She stared at me, her mouth, and oh, she stuttered. But why can't you wait at least until you finish college? We don't see the point of waiting if we're gonna get married anyway. I took a sip of Taylor's drink. We're gonna get an apartment, you can help me pick curtains and stuff. I guess, she said, but wait, what about your mom? Did Laurel flip her shit? We're telling my mom and his dad next week at Cousins. We'll tell my dad after. She perked up. Wait, so nobody knows yet? Just me? I nodded. I could tell Taylor was pleased. She loved being on a secret. It's one of her top favorite things in life. It's gonna be an apocalypse, she said, taking her drink back, like dead bodies, like blood in the streets. And when I say blood, I mean your blood. Gee, thanks a lot, Tay. I'm just speaking the truth. Laurel is an OG feminist. She's like Laura freaking Steinman. She's not gonna like this one bit. She'll go a Terminator on his ass and yours. My mom loves Jeremiah. She and Susanna always talk about me marrying one of her sons. It might be like a dream come true for her. In fact, I bet it will be. I knew it wasn't the least bit true, even as I was saying it. Clearly we don't get this. That a piece of tinfoil moment, which I loved. And TV Taylor is a lot more pro Jeremiah, it feels like. Maybe it's the fact that she too is a cheater. She can like connect on an emotional level. Say as a joke, I love Taylor. In the show, we then get Steven and Laurel stuff where he's like healing. And we also get Conrad talking with Agnes. Those 2 scenes don't exist in the book. Agnes truly only has kind of like that one scene of the have you ever been in love, and she's not in it at all. So the additions of Agnes in the TV show, I'm personally a really big fan of. And I've mentioned this in other videos that I've done on The Summer I Turned Pretty, but in the book series, Steven is such a minor character, so he doesn't really have storylines such as the car crash. Belly then gets ready to go home for the summer, so her dad drives her in both the TV show and the book. However, there is an added thing in the book. Her dad takes her and Jeremiah out to dinner, but they do not tell him about the proposal because the plan is to tell first Laurel and Adam when they're in cousins. She previously told Taylor. Also, another thing, in the TV show, it makes it seem like John had originally planned to also be at Susanna's memorial, but here it's not really talked about. It's just kind of assumed that he's not going to be there. At this lunch, we get a scene that you can tell inspiration was taken into at the end of the episode, and you'll catch it, I'm pretty sure. Order whatever you like, guys, my dad said, sliding into the booth. Jeremiah and I sat across from him. I looked at the menu and picked the New York strip because it was the cheapest. My dad wasn't poor, but he definitely wasn't rich either. When the waitress came over to take our orders, my dad ordered the salmon, I got the New York strip, and Jeremiah said, I'll have the dry aged ribeye, medium rare. The ribeye was the most expensive thing on the menu. It cost $38. I looked at him and thought, he probably didn't even look at the price. He never had to, not when all his bills went to his dad. Things were gonna change when we were married. That was for sure. No more spending money on dumb stuff like vintage Air Jordans or steak. So we went from $38 on a steak to a $79 surf and turf, was it? Jeremiah stays being out of touch financially. The TV show then gives us more Laurel and Stephen scenes, more Belly and Stephen scenes, and then Conrad and Agnes. Again, not here, not present. Taylor and her mom's salon storyline, also not a thing in the book. And I've been seeing a lot of people complain about the Taylor's mom's salon storyline. And while I understand the complaints, because I too don't care very much about it, I think it is very clear that that storyline is going to ultimately be what makes Taylor and Stephen get back together. I also am pre-recording these. The only episodes out so far are episodes 1 through 5. Episode 5 came out yesterday. So who knows, they could have gotten back together by now and it's gonna be like, well, no shit, bitch. This leads us into the second Taylor and Belly scene where Taylor apologizes for how she acted in the cafe for not being supportive enough, and where she shows her the piece of tinfoil. This is the scene where Taylor takes out like the wedding binder, but that wedding binder doesn't make its appearance in the book until after the memorial, after Laurel is like not cool with it at all, and Belly and her parents have talked about it. So what would be the equivalent of like halfway through episode 4. Here we get, thank God for Taylor. She brought over a big white binder with clippings of wedding magazines, checklists, and all kinds of stuff. I was saving this for my wedding, but we can use it for yours too, she said. First things first, we have to find your dress. August is really, really soon. It doesn't feel that soon, I said. Well, it is. 2 months to plan a wedding is nothing. In wedding speak, that's like tomorrow. Well, I guess since the wedding's gonna be simple, the dress should be simple too, I said. Taylor frowned. How simple? Really simple. As simple as it gets. Nothing poofy or flu-flu. She nodded to herself. I can picture it. It's a Cindy Crawford wedding on the beach. Very Caroline Bassett. Yeah, sounds good, I said. I had no idea what either of those wedding dresses looked like. Taylor and Taylor's mom, by extension, kind of really do take on a large portion of the planning for Belly and Jere's wedding. Now let's go back. As episode 3 is kind of, a lot of it is filler, like it's not that important. The middle chunk specifically. To the point where we get to the preparation and Susanna's memorial, and then the dinner that occurs afterwards. I just realized we're still not finished. Should we switch it up? Let's go to cousins. I really hope I was able to edit that well. I can't remember where I was standing before I changed the green screen. You don't care about any of that information. Anyways, in the show, Conrad makes it known that he will not be present for the memorial because he's stuck at work. Here, Conrad doesn't have a summer job at the clinic because Conrad is still in college because the TV show added an extra 2 years to the timeline that are not there for the book. So Conrad's just going to be running late. But there is questions of like, will he be there? Conrad's definitely coming today, right, Bean? My mother asked me. You're the one who talks to him, not me, I said. I put my bare feet on the dashboard. My high heels were in a heap on the floor of the car. Checking the rearview mirror, my mother said, I haven't spoken to Conrad in a few weeks, but I'm sure he'll be there. He wouldn't miss something as important as this. When I didn't say anything, she glanced at me and said, do you disagree? Sorry, Mom, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. I don't know why I couldn't just agree with her. I don't know what was holding me back. Because I really did believe he was coming. If I didn't, would I have taken extra care of my hair that morning? In the shower, would I have shaved my legs not once but twice just to be safe? Would I have put on a new dress and wore these heels that made my feet hurt if I truly didn't believe he was coming? No, deep down, I more than believed it. I knew. He eventually makes it when they're already seated and Jeremiah's already getting to go up. And we get that scene, the memorial scene, through Conrad's point of view. Very special to me. Also, it's hot. It's hot out. Clearly done at the beach. No. Seriously, it's hot out. I don't know what the degrees is, but I don't have the air. Like, I don't have the air on. I don't have a fan on because it's gonna fuck up the audio. So I'm just suffering. I hope you know that. Can I get a pity? Like, no, I'm just kidding. Wait. I was just reminded, I have something. Oh, that's so nice. Anyways, we do get the scene of Belly shaving not once but twice just to be safe. I'm not kidding when I say it's hot. Should I edit all of this out? Well, the show does give us the shaving scene and Belly putting on a band-aid to cover up where she cut herself. We don't get Conrad's point of view when he first sees her and sees the band-aid. It was a big deal to me. Chapter 20, Conrad. I saw her before she saw me in the front row. I saw her sitting with my dad and Laurel and Steven. She had her hair pulled back, pinned at the sides. I had never seen her wear her hair like that before. She had on a light purple dress. She looked grown up. It occurred to me that she had grown up while I wasn't looking, that there was every likelihood she had changed and I didn't know her anymore. When she stood up to clap, I saw the band-aid on her ankle and I recognized her again. She was Belly. She kept messing with the barrettes on her hair, one coming loose. My plane had delayed. Even though I had done 80 the whole way to Cousins, I was still late. Jeremiah was starting his speech. Just as I walked in, there was an empty seat up next to my dad, but I just stood back. I saw Laurel shift in her seat, scanning the room before turning around. She didn't see me. Jeremiah does his speech. It's all very nice. Then, post-speech, Conrad joins them. We're back in Belly's point of view. Then I saw him. Standing there in the back was Conrad in a gray suit. I stared and he lifted his hand to wave. I lifted mine, but I didn't move. Couldn't move. Next to me, I heard Jeremiah clear his throat. I had forgotten he was standing next to me. For those couple of seconds, I had forgotten everything and there was just Conrad. Then Mr. Fisher was pushing past us, striding over to him. They embraced. My mother swept Conrad into her arms. Then my brother came up from behind and pounded him on the back. Jeremiah made his way over too. I was last. I found myself walking over to them. Hi, I said. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I left them at my sides. He said, hi. Then he opened his arms wide and gave me a look that was a lot like a dare. Hesitantly, I stepped into them. He crushed me into a bear hug and lifted me off the ground a little. I squeaked and held down my skirt. Everyone laughed. When Conrad set me back down, I moved closer to Jer. He wasn't laughing. Conrad's glad to see his little sister again.
How you been, little sis?
Great.
Adam Fisher never beating the allegations of not being an observant person and a horrible parent. Mr. Fisher said in a jovial kind of way, I wonder if he knew that Conrad and I had once dated. Probably not. It had only been 6 months. It was nothing compared to the time Jeremiah and I spent together. Making it so much worse in the TV show because Mr. Fisher knows they were together. You know how I know? Because they spent fucking Thanksgiving together. Season 2. I can't remember the episode, but it happened. He was there. Jeremiah's like bitching about them holding hands. Yeah, that episode. How have you been, little sis? Conrad asked. He had the look on his face, partly mocking, part mischievous. I knew that look. I'd seen that look many times. Great, I said. Again, so much worse in the show. Bro, you've literally been inside of her. You with my hand again. Let's take this to the dinner. Which happens quite similarly, but also quite differently. Toasting to Susanna. I wanted to thank everyone for coming together today to celebrate Susanna. It's a special day and I'm glad we're here to share it together. Mr. Fisher lifted his glass to Suze. Nodding, my mom said, to Beck. We clinked glasses and drank. Before I could put mine down, Jeremiah gave me a look like, get ready, it's happening. My stomach lurched. Took another gulp of my champagne and nodded. I have something to say, Jeremiah announced. While everyone was waiting to hear what was said, I snuck a look over at Conrad. He had his arm draped over the back of Stephen's chair and they had been laughing about something. His face was easy and relaxed. I had this wild impulse to stop Jeremiah, to clap my hand over his mouth, keep from saying it. Everyone was so happy that it was going to wreck it. So yes, major change. It is Jeremiah who announces it in the book as opposed to Belly. And also the entire time Belly's kind of like, I don't think we should tell them. I kind of don't want to tell them. I feel like it's going to ruin the vibes. We can't do this. We have to wait. We should wait. He's like, no, I want you to be able to wear a ring loud and proud. And she's like, I'll wear a ring loud and proud. Just not right now, please. Okay, back. Jeremiah. I'll go ahead and warn you, it's really good news. Jeremiah flashed a smile at everyone, and I embraced myself. He was too glib. I thought my mother wouldn't like this. I asked Belly to marry me, and she said yes. She said yes. We're getting married this August. It's like the restaurant got really, really quiet all of a sudden. Like all the noise and chatter got sucked out of the room. Everything just stopped. I looked across the table at my mother. Her face was ashen. Stephen choked on the water he was drinking, coughing. He said, what the? And Conrad's face was completely blank. The waiter came by then with the appetizers, calamari and cocktail shrimp, and a tower of oysters. Are you guys ready to order your entrees? He asked, rearranging the table to make room for everything. His voice tight. Mr. Fisher said, I think we'll need a few more minutes. And glanced at my mother. She looked dazed. She opened and then closed her mouth, then looked right at me and asked, are you pregnant? I felt the blood rush to my cheeks beside me. I could feel rather than hear Jeremiah choke. My mother's voice shook as she said shrilly, I don't believe this. How many times have we discussed contraception, Isabel? I could not have been more mortified. I looked at Mr. Fisher, who was beet red, and then I looked at the waiter who was pouring water for the table. Next 2 hours. Our eyes met. I'm pretty sure he had been in my psychology class. Mom, I'm not pregnant. earnestly. Jeremiah said, Laura, I swear to you, nothing like that. In case you're unaware, had Belly been pregnant in the book, she'd be the second coming of Mary, you know, from the Bible. But she's not, because she's not pregnant, nor had Belly and Joe slept together. So again, she'd be the second coming of Mary. Did Mary have a last name? Just calling her Mary sounds too short, but I'm almost positive she doesn't have a last name. We had a slight location change. I hope the lighting isn't too different. It is pretty different, I can tell. Pretend it's not. Then what is happening here? Where is this coming from? My lips felt really dry all of a sudden. Fleetingly, I thought of what had led to Jeremiah's proposal. Quickly, the thought flitted away. None of that mattered anymore. What mattered was that we were in love. I said, we want to get married, Mom. You're too young, she said in a flat voice. You're both far too young. I said, there is the added 2 years in the TV show, so Belly is only 18 at this point, making Jeremiah 19. Jeremiah coughed. Laura, we love each other. We want to be together. You are together, my mother snapped, then turned to Mr. Fisher. Her eyes narrowed. Did you know about this? Calm down, Laurel, they're joking. You two are joking, right? Jerry and I shared a look before he said in a soft voice, we're not joking. My mother swallowed the rest of her champagne, emptying her glass. You two are not getting married, period. You're both still in school, for God's sake. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Do you think it's ridiculous? Conrad being the one to say the word ridiculous, also not in the book. That's a TV show thing. I guess he took Laurel saying. I think it fits both times though. Clearing his throat, Mr. Fisher said, maybe after you two graduate, we can discuss it again. A few years after you graduate, my mother put in. Right, Mr. Fisher said. Dad, Jeremiah began. Jeremiah, not a super senior again because we were 2 years in the past. Age-wise, they also don't do that little cheersing to all of the kids where Mr. Fisher calls out the super senior Jeremiah. Jeremiah really just stays catching strays in the show. The server was back at Mr. Fisher's shoulders before Jeremiah could finish whatever he was going to say. He just stood there for a moment, looking awkward before asking, do you have any questions about the menu, or are we just doing appetizers today? We'll just take the check, my mother said, tight-lipped. I was right before. This was a mistake, a tactical error of epic proportions. We never should have told him like this. Now they were a team united against us. We barely got a word in edgewise. There was all this food on the table. No one was touching it. No one was saying anything. I reached into my purse and under the tablecloth. I put my engagement ring on. It was the only thing I could do when I reached for my water glass. Jeremiah saw the ring and squeezed my knee again. My mother saw it too. Her eyes flashed. She looked away. Mr. Fisher paid the bill. And for once my mother didn't argue. We all stood up. Quickly, Stephen filled the tablecloth with shrimp, and then we were leaving. Me trailing my mother, Jeremiah followed. Mr. Fisher behind me. I heard Stephen whisper to Conrad, holy shit, man. That was crazy. Did you know about this? I heard Conrad tell him no. Outside, he hugged my mother goodbye and then got into his car and drove away. That is pretty much where episode 3 ends, but we don't have Conrad driving away because he's still at the restaurant. My fellow Swifties, you felt that pain. And in both, we do have that whole, like, but I was gonna go with them. With Belly and her mom be like, absolutely not. Let's get into episode 4, The Last Stand. Well, not the last, just Last Stand. I'm really gonna hate myself for this when I'm editing, aren't I? I should put it away. Episode 4 starts with a Belly and Jeremiah FaceTime where we find out that it is Belly's birthday and she's doing a double shift at Bears and he is at the office interning for his dad. 2 of the 3 things are book canon. She works at Bears and he's an intern. However, her birthday in the book series doesn't take place until August, whereas in the timeline in the show it is early June. So they switched Belly's birthday to happen a lot sooner. So the scene in the show where Belly goes downstairs on her birthday talking to her parents isn't there. But her dad does eventually make his way into the home as they discuss the wedding. It's in chapter 22, which actually starts with, my mother and I didn't speak to each other for a week. One night after a late shift at the restaurant, I was on my way to my room when I stopped short. I heard a snuffle sound of my mother crying behind her closed door. I was frozen to the spot, my heart thudding in my chest. Standing outside her door, listening to her weep, I was ready to give it all up. In that moment, I would have done anything, said anything, to make her stop crying. In that moment, she had me. My hand was on the doorknob, and the words were right there, on the tip of my tongue. Okay, I won't do it. But then I got quiet. She stopped crying on her own. I waited a little longer, and then I didn't hear anything anymore. I let go of the doorknob and went to my room. In the dark, I took off my work clothes and got into bed. And I cried too. I woke up to the smell of my father's Turkish coffee. Then she says, there was only one reason my dad was here. My mother had told them. They talk about how she's too young and how did she even get a ring in the first place. And it's like, oh, Jeremiah paid it on his card. And it's like, you mean the card that Adam pays for? Yeah, that one. Sighing, my mother glanced over at my father, then back at me. You might not believe me when I say this, but when your father and I got married, we were very much in love. Very, very much in love. We went into marriage with the best of intentions, but all of that just wasn't enough to sustain us. Their love for each other, Stephen and me, our family, none of that was enough to make their marriage work. I already knew all of that. Do you regret it? I asked her. Belly, it isn't as simple as that. I interrupted her. Do you regret our family? Do you regret me and Stephen? Sighing deeply, she said, no. Dad, do you? Belly, no, of course not. That's not what your mother's trying to say. Jeremiah and I aren't you and Mom. We've known each other our whole lives. I tried to appeal to my father. Dad, your cousin Martha got married young. She and Bert had been married for like 30 years. It can work. I know it can. Jeremiah and I will make it work like they did. We're going to be happy. We want you guys to be happy for us. It's kind of like part one into what ends up being the fight that Belly and Laurel have. A lot of the talking points are kind of similar. I can't support you in this decision, Isabel. If you go forward with this wedding, I won't support it. I won't be there. It knocked the wind out of me, even though I was expecting it. Her continual disapproval, still, I thought she'd come around at least a little. Mom, I said, my voice breaking, come on. In pain, my father said, Belly, let's all just think on this some more, okay? It's very sudden for us. I ignored him and only looked at my mother, pleading. I said, Mom, I know you don't mean that. She shook her head. I do mean it, Mom. You can't not be at my wedding. That's crazy. I tried to sound calm, like I wasn't on the verge of out and out hysteria. No, what's crazy is the idea of a teenager getting married. She pressed her lips together. I don't know what to say to get through to you. How do I get through to you as well? You can't, I said. My mother leaned forward, her eyes fixed on me. Don't do this. It's already decided. I'm marrying Jeremiah. I stood up quickly. If you can't be happy for me, then maybe it's best you don't come. I was already at the staircase when my father called out, Belly, wait. I stopped and then heard my mother say, let her go. When I was in my room, I called Jeremiah. The first thing he said was, do you want me to talk to her? That won't help. I'm telling you, she made up her mind. I know her. She won't budge, at least not right now. So yeah, that book scene is kind of like a mesh between the conversation Belly has with both her parents and then the conversation that Laurel has with Jeremiah and Belly, which we also do get a version of that in the book. But first, I want to touch on a conversation she has with Stephen. She does talk with Stephen about the wedding and like, oh, Mom's trying to whatever. Jeremiah wants her as a best man. Oh my God, don't tell Laurel. Like, there's that moment, but it feels a lot less like heartfelt and deep, which is shocking that the book did the Belly and Stephen convo better, because again, Stephen is such a minor character in the book that like, why does Belly even have a brother to begin with? Stephen says, my point is you guys are too young. Did Mom send you up here to talk to me? No, he said. I knew he was lying. I was just worried about you. I stared him down. Okay, yeah, she did, he admitted, but I would have come up anyway. Not gonna change my mind. Listen, nobody knows you two better than me. He stopped, weighing his words. I love Jer. He's like a brother to me, but you're my little sister. You come first. This whole marriage idea, I'm sorry, but I think it's stupid. If you guys love each other that much, you can wait a couple years to be together, and if you can't, for sure shouldn't be getting married. Oh my God, speak on that, Stephen, because they're so stupid, okay? To be honest, even if we're just taking, let's say, the TV show version into consideration, that it's like they need to be married before Belly makes it to Paris. Why can't you just get married after Paris? Why can't you just get married after you graduate college? Because this is literally like a tantrum that they have going on. And she feels so insecure in her relationship that she's like, I can't keep Jeremiah as just a boyfriend because he cheated on me last spring break. Duh. So I need to like lock him down as a husband. But babe, he's still gonna cheat on you. Really, he's still a man-child. You still have the better brother pining for you. Let's think here. Let's go back to Stephen here. I felt both touched and annoyed. Stephen never said things like, you come first. But then he called me stupid, which was more like him. I didn't expect you to understand, I said. I folded, then refolded another t-shirt. Jeremiah wants you and Conrad to be his best man. Stephen's face broke into a smile. He does? Yeah, I said. Stephen looked really happy, and then he caught me looking at him, and he wiped his smile away. I don't think Mom would let me be in the wedding. Stephen, you're 21 years old. You can decide for yourself. He frowned, and I could tell I injured his pride. He said, well, I don't think it's your smartest move. Noted, I said. I'm still doing it. Oh man, Mom's gonna kill me. I was supposed to talk you out of getting married, not get roped into the wedding. Stephen said, getting up. On the TV show talk here, I know people dislike the Taylor and her mom's salon storyline. How do people feel about this like side story of Stephen, Jeremiah, and Denise at like Adam's office? Because I actually really like that. I am loving the Stephen and Denise story arc to the point that I'm like, do I ship? Yeah, I kind of do. Sorry, not sorry. I say this like Taylor and Stephen were my favorite ships, season 2. But a girl evolves. Denise and Stephen are serving. We then make it to the prom shop where Taylor and Belly are going to find her wedding dress. In the TV show, Lucinda tags along, and the scene is a little bit different. I actually really like the book scene. The formal wear store at the mall was packed with girls looking for prom dresses with their mothers. I didn't expect to feel a pang in my chest when I saw them. Girls were supposed to go wedding dress shopping with their mothers. They were supposed to step out of the dressing room in just the right dress, and the mother was supposed to tear up and say, "That's the one." I was pretty sure that's the way it was supposed to be. "Isn't it a little late in the year for prom?" I asked Taylor. "Wasn't ours in like May?" My sister told me they had to push back prom this year because of a scandal with the assistant principal. Yes, Taylor's sister, not canon in the TV show. She explained all the prom money went missing or something. So now it's a graduation prom. I laughed. Also, the private school always has their prom later, remember? Allegiant St. Joe's. I only went to one prom, I remind her. One had been enough for me. In the show, Belly does end up going to a second prom, and we see it in the start of the season 3 where we have the collage. We see her and Jer at her second prom. Anyways, let's continue. I wandered around the store and found one dress I liked. It was strapless, blinding white. I'd never known there were degrees of white before. I had just thought white was white. When I found Taylor, she had a whole stack of dresses in one arm. We had to wait in line for the dressing room. The girl in front of me told her mother I would freak out if someone wears the same dress as me. This girl's gonna come back a little bit later, okay? Let's continue. She walks out of the dressing room, okay? Came out and there was already a couple of girls at the mirror checking themselves out from the back. I stood behind them. Then the girl from earlier stepped out in the same dress I had on, but in a champagne color. She saw me and right away asked, "Which prom are you going to?" Taylor and I looked at each other in the mirror. Taylor was covering her mouth giggling. I said, "I'm not going to prom." Taylor said, "She's getting married." The girl's mouth hung open. "How old are you? You look so young." "I'm not that young." I said, "I'm 19. I wouldn't be 19 until August, but 19 sounded a lot older than 18. "Oh," she said, "I thought we were like the same age." I looked at us in the mirror as we stood there in the same dress. I thought we looked the same age too. I saw her mother looking at me and whispering to the lady next to her. I could feel myself blush. Taylor saw too and said loudly, "You can hardly tell she's 3 months pregnant." The woman gasped. She shook her head at me and I gave a little shrug. Then Taylor grabbed my hand and we ran back to the dressing room laughing. "You're a good friend," I said as she unzipped me. If 19 sounds a lot older than 18 to this Belly, she's gonna be very glad. Not in the TV show version. She's 21 when she's buying her wedding dress. There's also a very similar scene in which Belly calls Jeremiah and mentions that she's upset that she didn't have her mom to go wedding dress shopping with. The difference is, in the show she did ask her mom. In the books, she doesn't. Jeremiah was quiet. Then he said, "Did you ask her to go with you?" "No, not really, but she knew I wanted her there. I just hate that she's not going to be a part of this." I left my bedroom door open, hoping my mom might walk in, might see me in the dress and stop. She hadn't so far. Oh, she had the wedding dress on, by the way, when she made the call. She'll come around. I hope so. I don't know if I can picture getting married without my mom there, you know? I heard Jared let out a sigh. "Yeah, me neither," he said. I knew he was thinking of Susanna. The next morning, her and her mother are eating breakfast when someone stops by, that someone being Jeremiah. This is where that conversation between Laurel and Jeremiah and Belly happens. My mother looked astonished, her spoon halfway in her mouth. "Jeremiah!" Jeremiah walked over to her, flowers in hand. "I just had to come and greet my future mother-in-law properly," he said, grinning his impish grin. He kissed her on the cheek and set the flower by her bowl of yogurt. I was watching closely. If anybody could charm my mother, it was Jeremiah. Already, I could feel the tension in the house being lifted. She smiled a smile that looked brittle, but it was a smile nonetheless. She stood up. "I'm glad you came," she said. "I've been wanting to talk to both of you." Jeremiah rubbed his hands together. "Alrighty, let's do this. Belly, get over here. Group hug first." My mother tried not to laugh as Jeremiah gave her a bear hug. He mentioned for me to join, and I came in behind my mother and hugged her around the waist. She couldn't help. A laugh escaped. Fast forward a little bit in this conversation where the three of them are sitting in the living room. The first thing she said was, "Jeremiah, you know I love you. I want nothing but the best for you. That is why I can't support what two of you are doing." Jeremiah leaned forward. "Lord," my mother held up her hand. "You're just too young, both of you. You're both still just sitting, becoming the people you will one day be. You're still children. You aren't ready for a commitment like this." "I'm talking about a lifetime here," Jeremiah eagerly said. "Laurel, I want to be with Belly for a lifetime. I can commit to that. Easy." My mother shook her head. "And that's how I know you're not ready, Jeremiah. You take things too lightly. This isn't the kind of thing you undertake on a whim. It's serious." The condensation in her voice really pissed me off. I was 18 years old, not 8. Jeremiah was 19. We were old enough to know that marriage was serious. It's not seeming like it, sweetheart. Okay, let's keep going. I'd seen our parents had screwed up their own marriages. We weren't going to make the same mistakes, but I didn't say anything. I knew that if I had gotten mad or tried to argue, I would only prove her point. See, book Belly is a little bit smarter than TV show Belly, and also like 2 years younger. If only the wisdom had continued. So I sat there. I want the two of you to wait. I want Belly to finish school when she graduates. If you two still feel the same way, do it then, but only after she graduates. If Beck was here, she'd agree with me. I think she'd be really happy for us, Jeremiah said. Belly will still finish college in time. I can promise you that. I'll take good care of her. Just give us your blessing. He reached out and touched her hand. Gave it a playful shake. Come on, Laura, you know you always wanted me as a son-in-law. My mother looked pained. Not like this, hon. I'm sorry. There was a long, awkward pause. The three of us sat there. I could feel myself start to tear up. Jeremiah put his hand around me and clapped my shoulder, then let go. This is another moment in which the TV show made it so much worse. So much worse. That pause when Jeremiah's like, I know you really like me as a son-in-law, and Laura's just like,
Bro, come on. You know you've always wanted me as a son-in-law.
and then she says, yeah, I'm not going to the wedding. And we get that whole, you're just mad you don't get a say in this. You don't get a say in what happens, and it's killing you. Yes, it's killing me. She snapped. Watching you make a stupid decision is killing me. My mother's eyes fixed on me, and I turned away, my knees shaking. I couldn't listen to her anymore. She was poisoning our good news with her doubts and her negativity. She was twisting everything. I stood up. Then I'll leave. You won't have to watch anymore, Jeremiah startled. Come on, Bill, sit down. I can't sit here, I said. My mother didn't say a word. She just sat there, her back. I'm out straight. I walked out of the room and up the stairs. She goes into her room and packs her stuff. To go to cousins. We find out that when they're about a half hour away, Jeremiah mentions, hey, Conrad's staying at the house. Whereas in the TV show, they're kind of surprised that Conrad is there because they're fully expecting him to be in California. While at the house in Cousins, Belly actually makes a comment to Jeremiah on more than one occasion of like, hey, you should ask Conrad to be your best man now. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it later. So it actually ends up being Belly who brings it up as opposed to Jeremiah when him and Conrad are surfing. This conversation then happens for them a few days later. Her and Conrad are eating grilled chicken and corn for lunch. Did Jared tell you what he wanted even to wear for the wedding, I asked? Conrad shook his head, looking confused. I thought you guys just wore suits for weddings. Well, yeah, but you guys are his best men, so you're all dressing in like khaki shorts and white linen button-downs? He didn't tell you? This is the first time I'm hearing about linen shirts or being best man. I rolled my eyes. Jeremiah needs to get on the ball. Of course you're his best man. You and Steven both are. How can there be two best men? Best implies only one. Biting into his corn on the cob, he said, let Steven be it. I don't care. No, you're Jeremiah's brother. You have to be his best man. My phone rang as I was explaining to him what being a best man entailed. I didn't recognize the number, but since the wedding planning had gotten underway, I'd been getting a lot of those. Is this Isabel? I didn't recognize the voice. She sounded older, like someone my mom's age. Whoever she was, she had a thick Boston accent. I said, this is she. I mean, her. My name is Denise. Oh, Denise, making an appearance here. Yeah, but she's not a character like she is in the show. No worries. She mentioned I work for Adam Fisher. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Yes, hello. I need you to okay a few things for your wedding. I selected a catering service called Elegantly Yours. They do events around the area. They're doing this very last minute for us. The caterer books months in advance for parties. Is that all right with you? So we know in the show that it actually ends up being Kaylee, you know, the woman that Adam cheated on Susanna with, who's going to be the one to help plan the wedding if Belly so chooses. That's something we find out till episode 4, but I thought I should mention it to connect here. I kind of briefly mentioned Denise before. Steven and Denise dynamic, not a thing because Steven's not working for Adam, but it's a dynamic that I'm really enjoying. I hope we get more of throughout the season, but I feel like we're not going to, just because based on what I know from like spoilers here and there and just ideas that have been thrown out, it doesn't seem like Steven and Denise will be endgame, so I could see them not furthering that storyline too much, but I wish they did. Sticking to the TV show timeline here, Jeremiah does eventually leave. He also does eventually leave in the books, giving Belly Conrad some time to themselves. And in the show, we also get that flashback of Belly getting her own bedroom and Laurel mentioning, like, she's not ready. It just shows that Laurel knows Belly on a deeper level and knows that she's in fact not ready for this marriage. On the topic of Susanna, the line when Laurel is talking to Jeremiah and Belly and we get that, like, I'm sorry, but you wouldn't know what your mother would have wanted in this situation. That does get changed. As I had mentioned, Laurel says, like, I know your mother wouldn't have wanted this. Whereas Belly's like, no, Susanna always wanted me to marry one of her sons. Like, is Susanna the villain? Like, is she the reason Belly can't seem to understand that there is more than these two boys out in the world? But you know what? Maybe her true love is the beach house. Maybe if she can't have Jeremiah or Conrad, she'll be like, Adam? I joke, don't take me seriously. Let's keep talking about this. Because this episode ends with Conrad being ready to go and he's like, okay, I'm leaving, I've packed my bags. But then he hears Belly crying and decides to stay. And then that's when he makes her the dirt bombs, and then they hug, and he's like, oh, this is gonna be bad. And we go into his point of view, which, by the way, I've seen that episode. Best episode of the season, perhaps the best episode of the entire show. Let's talk about the book version. Chapter 37, Conrad. It didn't really hit me how hard of a time Belly was having until I heard her on the phone with Taylor later that week. She had her door open and I was brushing my teeth in the hallway bathroom. I heard her say, Taylor, I really appreciate what your mom is trying to do, but I promise, it's okay. I know, but I would feel too weird with all of the adults in the neighborhood at my wedding shower, and then my mom not being there. I heard her sigh and say, yeah, I know. Okay, tell your mom thanks. She closed the door then, and I was pretty sure I heard her start to cry. I went to my room, lay down on my bed, and stared up at the ceiling. Belly hadn't let me know how sad she was about her mom. She was an upbeat kind of person, naturally cheery, like Jer. If there was a bright side, Belly would find it. Hearing her cry, it shook me up. I knew I should stay out of it. That was the smartest thing to do. She didn't need me looking out for her. She was a big girl besides. What could I do for her? I was definitely staying out of it. The next morning, I got up early to see Laurel. And then he talks to Laurel, and that's how Laurel kind of changes her mind. Because I don't know what happens post episode 5 currently, maybe he talks to Laurel in the show too, but if not, I'll be sure to point it out in the next one of these videos where I will be talking about episodes 5 and 6. Did I say last time that I was going to talk about episodes 3, 4, and 5 in the same one? Yes, I did. But it really didn't work out that way for filming. Plus, this is already long enough. I've been filming for like 50 something minutes, close to an hour. No, I've passed the hour mark. Who knows how long it's going to be. So now if I talk about a third episode, it's going to become way, way too long. So we're ending it here. But get ready, because next week I will be talking about episode 5 and 6. Like I said, I've loved episode 5 so far. Like, catch me screaming. I'm going to be very annoying next episode. Please be warned. I really don't like long outros, and I can assume that you don't either. So with that, I'm going to say have a good day, have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next time. Bye!